this time. The Gates have taken over. The Philadelphia Wings become the new winners of the North American Cup and the world champions of major indoor lacrosse.
Wow, what a storybook year for Paul Gait and the Philadelphia Wings.
Winning the Major Indoor Lacrosse League's most prestigious trophy.
It's called the North American Cup. Hi, everybody. I'm Lee Felsmo, along with Christy Lee.
We're coming to you from the Baltimore Arena, home of the Baltimore Thunder.
And Christy, the Baltimore Thunder is behind us right now, scrimmaging those world champion Philadelphia Wings. Both teams getting ready for the first week in January. That's when our Mill 95 kicks off.
And we are so excited about the second season of the Mill right here on the Deuce. Why? These guys right behind me, the Philadelphia Wings, they have an uphill battle this year. They want to repeat as champions, but they have a major problem. They lost probably one of the greatest players to ever play the game of lacrosse, Paul Gait, to the Rochester Nighthawks.
And who are the Rochester Nighthawks, you might ask? Well, that's the new expansion team. This and a lot of other things happened in the offseason. We'll get you up to date with all the transactions in today's show.
And if you're new to the game of lacrosse, stick with us because it's the fastest thing on 2 feet, loaded with tons of action.
And it demands a lot from the athletes. You know that from watching it. Hard-hitting like football. It's got the hand-eye coordination of baseball that it demands, the speed of hockey, the fast-paced offense of basketball. And the best thing about it is, guess what?
What?
No player strikes.
That's right. No strikes allowed, and no channel switching either from you.
Hey, stick with us. When we come back, we'll talk to Paul Gait, one of the greatest players ever to play this game, and we'll introduce you to the new team, the Rochester Nighthawks.
Fritz.
Barry Paulus, the new head coach of the Rochester Nighthawks. First, our assistant, Paul Dave. Paul, could you stand up, please? I'd like to introduce Peter Park, Steve Dietrich.
The thing that excites me the most about the league coming here is that the players involved in this league are the top of their game.
The league actually was created in Rochester. Our first exhibition game, which set the benchmark to what we were doing, was held right here at the War Memorial.
Welcome back to the Baltimore Arena. And you know, it's kind of ironic that the Mill's first ever exhibition game was held at the War Memorial in Rochester, home of the new Nighthawks. Leaf, and it was also announced at that press conference that the War Memorial is going to upgrade its facilities to a 15,000-seat stadium.
And Christy, with the addition of the Nighthawks, the league announced that the Detroit Turbos are defunct. They are not an entity anymore. They're gone. Also, the players from that team are put back into the league through a dispersal draft. Now, in addition to that, the two-division format, it's gone. It's history. This year, one division, top 4 teams make the playoffs.
Now, let's get back to the Nighthawks real quick, okay? The biggest question mark has to be behind their name. Why? They're an expansion team. They got a bunch of new players all playing together for the very first time. But there's some good news here. Coach Barry Paulus has got to believe in Santa Claus.
Well, Christy, he has to, because in October, he got the biggest gift he could ever ask for. He gets the best player possibly in the league, Paul Gait, assigned to his team with his 43 goals. Paul Gait will be a Nighthawk this year.
That's right. Now, the move for Paul, that was made strictly in a personal reason. He loved playing for the Wings. However, he had to get a little bit closer to home in Syracuse or call it quits.
The move to Rochester, well, it was due to the fact that it's close to Syracuse, which is the city I live in. So that was the main reason for the move. I requested the transfer. Philly didn't want to let me go, obviously. And finally, after a lot of pleading with Philly and the league, I finally made my way to Rochester. So now my wife loves me, my dog loves me, you know, I'm close to home, I'm sleeping in my own bed at night, it's great.
Although the pressure of playing away from home will be somewhat relieved, the pressure of having an entire team right on your shoulders could be even more heavy for Paul.
Being kind of the marquee player on the Rochester team, you know, a lot of people think there's a lot of pressure on my shoulders, but I try and put the same amount of pressure on whatever team I play for. You know, I have a job to do. My job is to go out and score goals. You know, so that's all I try and do every year. So it's really no different that I'm on a new team. I'm just going to go out and try and do the same thing.
The question is the same to Paul as it is to Gary. What will it feel like playing against your brother for the first time in the Mill?
I'm going to try and crush him. You know, he's just another player out there on the floor. I'm going for a loose ball. I'm going to try and get the ball, do anything I can to try and get the ball, you know. Just because he's my brother, I'm not going to let up.
The Nighthawks are certainly going to experience some growing pains this year, but what new team doesn't? But a playoff position may not be out of the question. Barry Powless is shooting for a .500 season, and he feels that should be good enough for postseason play. Along with Paul Gate, the Nighthawks have picked up several players from Detroit that should be a good nucleus to the team. Dwayne Jacobs and Chris Driscoll will be looking for a third member to join the Wild Bunch line. Perhaps it'll be 6'4", 225-pound Peter Park. The other member of Detroit to join Rochester is goalie Steve Dietrich. He provides stability at a position that is key to any team's success. If Paul Gate was a present from Santa, then Tim Sudan must have come from the Easter Bunny. He was a first-team All-Pro with the Blazers last season and provides another potent offensive force.
We have a lot of separate entities on the team, and it's been interesting watching them come together. We've had some Buffalo elements and some Detroit elements, and we're gelling and we're becoming more cohesive. So, I mean, with the players we have that have done very well in the Mill in the past, I think we're going to be a very solid, very competitive team right off the bat.
For Coach Powless, the biggest challenge ahead is to mix a team of veterans with 9 rookies who have never played in the Mill, 3 of which have never played indoor lacrosse.
If you look down the roster, I've either played with or against a lot of the players on our roster. So for me, it's very familiar faces that are surrounding myself. And I think what it adds to the team is just that cohesiveness, you know. And as far as the characters that we have on the team, there's a lot of strong individuals that could help certain situations where you look for individuals to help raise the club to a certain level. And I think we have that combination. It's just a matter of the players themselves stepping forward.
The crazy crowds of Buffalo and Philadelphia are well documented. What about Rochester? Well, all indications seem to be positive. Half of the War Memorial is sold out to season ticket holders, and just a couple of years ago, there was an exhibition game there, and it sold out. Coach Powless played in that game and said he could have sworn he was in Buffalo.
Well, I feel the people in Rochester really come out in droves and support our club, and I'm looking for a lot of vocal noise from them. Just like in '92 when I was with the Bandits, we had an exhibition game here versus Detroit, and I thought there was like 10,000 spectators in here, but there was only like 7,000. So I'm looking for that same type of vocal support, and I think it's here.
Rookie coaches have certainly been successful in the past. Let's take a look at the NFL right now, and Barry Switzer having some fun with those Cowboys. And it doesn't hurt Coach Powless's cause to have a guy like Paul Gate on his team. Take a look at this scoring machine.
Tavares, and he's checked from behind. Going against Rich Kildare, but a shot broke for Paul.
Paul Gate coming in, watch out, Salicaccio!
Gate going against Rich Kildare, but a shot broke for Paul.
Whoa! Wrestled down by the head.
To watch Paul Gate with the slammer and hammer. He's got it.
Shot clock will get reset 30. Uh-oh, Paul Gate looks for a broke.
When you come to Buffalo, not only do you have to deal with the big-time studs like MVP John Tavares, Ross Cowie, and Jim Beltman, you have to feel the wrath of the 7th man, the fans.
Souvenir Bandits program.
Bandit souvenirs, yeah.
Bandit man! Bandit's number one! Number one!
Welcome back to Mill 95, a look ahead. Well, one of the things that stands out early on in the league is the parity that the league has achieved at this level. But you know what? If there's one team that does stick out above the rest of them, it's still got to be the Buffalo Bandits.
And Christy, if you're new to the league, these fans at home, they've got to know that this team is like the Dallas Cowboys of the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. They are dominant. This team won 2 world championships their first 2 years. They came within 1/2 of a game of going through a three-peat, winning the 3rd one. It's not a fluke. They're There's no coaching controversy. This team is led by a great coach named Les Bartley, and he knows how to win.
That's right, Leaf. Les runs a tight ship. In fact, he credits the success of his team to probably two things: self-discipline and physical fitness.
All I can say, guys, is let's keep the ball hot, feet moving. Let's have some fun out here. Let's throw the ball around, boys. Let's bring it in. Let's go, boys. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Come on, boys. Let's go. Heat up. Are we in? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bandits!
Hey, boy, Darius.
Let's go. Get it changed. Come on. But the thing is, we didn't get the ball. The ball picked back up. You tried to knock the guy down, and he rolled around you. What I'm saying is play contained. Okay? Just keep the guy in front of you.
Yeah, our guy's going to get killed. If it's their guy, it's okay, right?
Let's talk about the man up, man down a little bit here. Okay? So we're going to have the guy from the top. Let's use the bench right off the man down situation. We get the ball to Billy, okay? And then we'll use the bench right here off the bat, okay? We want the first guy off the top coming right away. We're going to break out of here.
Vernon, get out of there. Vernon! Vernon! B. Hall! B. Hall! Chris! Chris, get over here. Over here. To the bench.
Let's just relax, guys. We don't need that stuff. We don't need that. You're right, Darius, but we got to take it easy. We can't get into that crap. We'll talk to the league about him. It's one guy.
I think it's the good attitude of all the guys that are coming to practice, along with some of the guys that won't get to start, that, they come in and they push everyone every day. And I think that's what we try and strive for in Buffalo, is to every practice try and get so we're pushing somebody else to be better.
With the Wings losing Paul Gates, the Bandits have to be the favorite to win the championship. The Bandits are led by last year's most valuable player, John Tavares. Tavares led the league in goals with 27 and points with 47, all in just 8 games. He can score with power, grace, speed, and sleight of the hand. Plus, he's not afraid to mix it up.
I'm just an average player. I always try to break it down to desire and just how much you want it, because we all have the same skills. It's not like I can catch or throw better than somebody else or I'm smarter than someone else. It's just a desire and just you're willing to want to win and play hard.
No team had better ball control than the Bandits. The main reason? They human vacuum cleaner Jim Veltman. Veltman led the league in loose balls with 130, almost twice as many as the next player. For Jim, it's not just a matter of putting your head down and bull rushing into the corner for the ball. He uses a variety of techniques.
It almost looks like the Three Stooges at times, You tap the guy on the one shoulder, and he looks around that way, and Jim goes the other way. And just when the guy's getting used to Jim Veltman doing that, he'll tap him on the one shoulder, make it look like he's going the other way, and come the other way back on him, or pull the ball out between his legs.
Troy Cordingley was second on the team in scoring with 16 goals. That would have led all but 2 teams in scoring. He and Tavares provide a potent scoring duo, making it virtually impossible to focus in on either player. So say you stop Tavares and Cordingley, nothing to worry about, right? Wrong. Bob the Hammer Hamley scored 12 regular season goals plus 5 more in the playoffs. But his status to start the season is uncertain due to a leg injury. Now let's throw in the Kilgore brothers for fun. Rich and Darius, that's another 13 goals. How about a 37-year-old Boyer Stu Aird? You want some legal advice? I'm sure he'd be willing to bail you out. Aird scored 8 goals last year, but more importantly provided consistency on a team that is known for consistency. If goaltending is a valuable commodity, then Buffalo has the market cornered. Bill Gary and Ross Cowie provide the Bandits with the most effective goalie combo in the league. So who plays and who sits for the Bandits? Well, the formula is simple. Coach Bartley will go with whomever is hot at the time. Until he gives up 3 unanswered goals, and he's yanked.
It takes away from your confidence. I mean, you're thinking I let 2 bad goals in, I'm going to get pulled. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to say. In a short season like we have, usually you want to play as much time as you can. But again, it has worked for us.
The one thing that all these players have in common is the fact that losing the championship at home was a tough rock to swallow.
Can't get that one half out of my mind. I think I speak for the team when we hope we can make that championship again and maybe come out on top this time.
Leaf, I'll tell you what, if you would have told me at halftime of last year's championship game that the Bandits were going to lose, I'd have told you you were nuts.
Well, you would have had a good reason. This team was 30 minutes away from three-peating. They really have been the dominant team in the last 3 years, and it's no surprise. They're a well-oiled machine. But, Christy, this team, like all good teams, is not above a few tricks.
That's right. They're a master of the hidden ball trick. In fact, let's take a look. Lacrosse the board, an inside look at the strategy of indoor lacrosse. The hidden ball trick, performed here by the Buffalo Bandits, John Tavares and Bob Hamley. That's Tavares on the left, Hamley on the right. Tavares is the player currently with the ball. Now check it out. As he runs toward Hamley, he flips the ball in the air, making it look like a soft pass. But instead, he keeps the ball himself. The key to the play is Hamley, making it appear as if he has the ball, while Tavares nonchalantly runs toward the goal and scores. Here's another attempt at the hidden ball, which isn't as successful. Once again, it's Tavares with the ball, but this time when he flips it up, he has to reach for it. He still has the ball, but the high toss hurts the deception on the play. The second problem occurs when a Bandits player comes into the same zone as Tavares. This draws too much of a crowd. He's forced to take a low percentage shot from the top of the key.
Welcome back to the Baltimore Arena. The Baltimore Thunder against the Philadelphia Wings. And the Thunder really preparing for a new, fresh start for them in '95, because last year, Christy Lee, it really wasn't a great year. They had the worst year in franchise history, a 1-7 record. It was horrible, but believe it or not, they could have made the playoffs if they just beat New York in the final game.
But, Leaf, they lost. A bummer. And for the first time since 1990, the Baltimore Thunder had to watch the playoffs from home. On the Deuce, of course.
Well, absolutely, of course. Now, also, the big question to me is, when you look at that team and all the talent they had, you have to ask yourself, how could all that talent come up with such a poor record? The answer was simple. There was no I in the word team, and the Thunder played as individuals instead of together. Gone is over 33% of last year's roster, including John Tucker, who's retired and unretired more times than George Foreman. Others who have packed their bags include longtime veteran with the rocket shot Butch Marino and the Baltimore Thunder's all-time leading scorer, Jeff Jackson. But perhaps the most important loss to this team is of all-world defenseman Dave Pietramala. Last season, his lack of focus and his uncertain schedule due to his full-time job was difficult for the team to deal with.
Well, anytime you lose a person of David Pietramala's stature, obviously that's going to create a big hole for your team. He's such a leader. He's such a great player. The guy brings so much to the table other than just his physical abilities. His acumen of the game, where he is on the field, we're going to miss him sorely.
An optimist would look at the Thunder and say, well, they've got nowhere to go but up. And that's exactly where they should go, especially when you consider the new additions. During the offseason, Coach Lickfist realized they had to fill the pipes with someone who could stop the rock with consistency. That someone will be former All-Pro goalie Ted Sawicki. Ted became the prototype for all goalies in the indoor league. It was Sawicki who set the trend that is now widely accepted, and that is that you have to have a Canadian goalie to be competitive in the MILL. And after 2 disappointing years for Ted Sawicki, he's lost weight, in shape, and ready to prove he's as good as ever.
Last year was kind of a back burner year for me, and I want to prove myself and show that I can still play in the league, and I'm really looking forward to playing for Baltimore.
Who's the best player in the world? Well, perhaps you might say Paul or Gary Gay, maybe even John Tavares. Well, how about Mark Millen? Who's Mark Millen, you ask? Well, Millen starts his second year in this league as another new member of the Thunder. And he comes from the New York Saints. Oh, by the way, he was the most dangerous offensive player in the World Games for field lacrosse this year in Manchester, England. This guy can score, and he can score in bunches.
Last year was my first year in there, and I didn't feel at home at all inside the boards. And now, after playing in the summer, being outside, and coming back as my second experience, I think I'm a lot more confident and definitely matured a little bit.
Another former All-Pro who landed in Baltimore is Rob Sheck. Rob saw his role decreasing with the Philadelphia Wings and wanted a new start with the Thunder.
I feel like I did everything that I could do in Philadelphia. I mean, we won a championship. We beat Buffalo, who, I'd won it the previous 2 years. And, it just made my decision a lot easier. And this is where I want to be. I want to be in Baltimore. I want to bring all the luck that we had in Philadelphia down to Baltimore.
6-year pro Adam Mueller is another new face. His athleticism and ability to create open shots for others should provide more scoring for the Baltimore team. Returning to the Thunder, our 1994 second-team All-Pro, Lindsey Dixon. Lindsey led the team in goals, points, and loose balls, and was tied for first in assists.
2 years I've been in the league, I have 2 wins. I'm not really looking forward to ever having that happen again in any sport. I'm very kind of person that just hates to lose, and I think the whole team is full of people that are like that this year. I think this year could probably be kind of like the NFL is. There are a couple teams that are more talented than others, but it's going to be evenly spread throughout the whole league, which will really make every game you watch very exciting.
Veterans Tim Welch and Bob Martino should provide experience and leadership as well. There's an old adage in sports that defense wins championships. And Skip hopes to see better team defense than the team last year that allowed more shots on goal and goals than any other team in the league.
We're going to not use a single defensive line strategy, which we did last year. We're going to go more to a 3-line rotation. I think we've got some outstanding athletes. We're going to pressure the ball. We're going to be extremely aggressive and hopefully run and gun a little bit.
I tell you, the scrimmage is really getting intense. As we get ready to go into 95 season, Christy Leahy's fans at home are looking and saying, is there a method to the madness? This game is so intense. They should know that there are set positions. There are set offenses.
That's right, Leaf. In fact, if you've never seen the game before or you're not really sure what player is supposed to play what position, hopefully I can help clear some of that up for you. Lacrosse the board, an inside look at the strategy of indoor lacrosse. Let's take a look at the player positions. First of all, you have the goalie. He's pretty easy to spot, the big guy right there in the net. To the right of the goalie, you have a power forward. To the left, you're shooting forward. These lines can often be blurred because many times you have 2 shooting forwards on at the same time. You have a right-handed shooter or a left-handed shooter. Then you have your attacks. You have your left attack, you have your right attack. And then right there, the center, the guy who makes the plays for the team. Tyson, you took a big hit. You're bleeding, buddy.
Well, it's part of the game, taking the hits. It's just a matter of when you get sticks. Unfortunately, I got a stick in the face, and it was the right call. I don't mind taking one for the team.
Okay, you have scored your second goal of the year. Your team is now leading by 2. It's got to feel good, buddy.
It was a long time coming, but, if we play hard out there, the goals will come.
And just before the break, Tim Soudan, you took a nasty hit. You're bleeding from the lip, but are you going to be okay?
Oh, yeah.
This has become a really tough game for the Bandits. They're out for blood now, literally.
Yeah, it's getting a little chippy out there. It's all part of competition, I guess.
What is it about Dallas Elliott? You guys seem to be getting it in on him.
Well, it just seems we're getting lucky right now. We're just shooting the ball and hoping it's going in. Dallas is a great goaltender in this league, and we're just shooting towards the goal. That's all we're doing.
The team benches, my home away from home. Boy, we saw a lot of action last year, and Leaf, we're going to see a lot more this year. Imagine, if you will, being in a huddle for football, a dugout for baseball. Well, we're actually on the bench, and we do bring you that inside information as it happens live.
Well, Christy, it's great to know the inside information, but if you watch this game at all, you know it's no surprise, not inside information, that it's all offense in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. And Boston does a great job of producing offense. And as a matter of fact, the Boston Blazers' motto is, if you got the rock, crank it.
Yeah, well, that philosophy makes sense. But unfortunately, Leaf, for the Blazers, even though they lead the league in shots taken, they don't exactly lead in scores made. In fact, they're kind of right down there in the middle of the pack. A bigger problem for the Blazers could be all of the offseason moves that saw 4 of the Blazers' top shooters, Tim Soudan, Toby Boucher, Andy Towers, and Greg Clements, joining other teams. So Coach Ron Frazier has decided to alter his game plan slightly.
Our style will be, we're very athletic, maybe more athletic than we've been in the past. We're going to be able to get up and down the court probably faster than any other team in the league. We're going to create a lot of shots hopefully with a little schooling from them, we'll be better shooters, but if we can continue to get close to 100 shots a game, which is very exciting, we'll get our share. They'll go in.
Offense is the hardest element to teach and replace, but Boston couldn't have started with a better choice than Ted Dowling. Ted was third in the league in goals last year, while with Detroit, finding rope 21 times. Coach Frazier thinks that he has seen Ted mature tremendously since joining the league, most notably eliminating stupid penalties that cost his team.
I'm more relaxed in situations where my first year I'd go into a situation I'd try to get rid of the ball quicker, and now I'm just I will hold on to it a little longer, I'll look for the opening, and also on the bench, I won't be too quick to judge. It's more take on a leadership role rather than a following role.
Ted's a great player. Very good scorer, a very good athlete, and Ted's working very, very hard right now in practice and working on his conditioning and really wants to make an impact in Boston. Ted also brings some experience with him, and I can see the impact of his experience as it relates to the indoor game with the other players already. He has a calmness, a sense of confidence on the field that is being transferred to our other players. So I think Ted's impact won't be only as a scorer, which we do want dearly, but also will be as a teacher.
Dowling, who led the Canadian Lacrosse League in scoring this summer, has 3 objectives: to win the Cup, make it to All-Pro status, and to finish his career in Boston.
Every year I start off with the same goals. I want to win the championship. And if you start off at the beginning of the season and not want to win, then really what are you doing? You're playing. There's no reason to play the game. I think our team has an opportunity to win the championship. Boston has traditionally had a lot of heart, had a lot of skill, but pulling them together has been their main problem.
One veteran who returns is Tom Carmine. Tom, a 6-year pro from UMass, led the Blazers in assists and scoring last year. Marty O'Neill will once again be the man between the pipes. Coach Ron Frazier says that he is looking for O'Neill to take a step forward, not only as goalie, but as a leader as well. Opponents know how difficult it is to score on Marty. They also know he is an instigator when it comes to mixing it up with the other team. Just ask the Buffalo Bandits. Remember the game that shocked the world of lacrosse last year? The Blazers stopped the Bandits' 22-game winning streak, but most surprisingly, they did it in Buffalo.
For us to come up to Buffalo and win decisively by 5, and end a 22-game winning streak, sent a message across the team that, guess what, guys? You can compete at any level you want in this league. And I think that will carry over this year because now they know they can do it, what they're capable of doing, and it's a matter of believing that you can be successful.
So the big challenge for the Boston team is to replace those players that they lost.
Yeah, I think you're going to see veterans like Bruce Chanachek, Peter Schmitz, and Coach Ron Frazier's son Randy really step up their games.
And Christy, don't forget about Walt Cataldo. Now, he was out last year with an injury.
Yeah.
That team really missed him. He's a presence on the field, a big guy who can score goals. Plus, Division II Player of the Year, Bob Felt. He's a rookie to watch on the Boston team.
You know what? They're also really going to miss playing in the Boston Garden, I bet. This is their last year there.
I know, and I think Larry Bird had season tickets, too. But we won't be going back to the Garden, but we will be coming back to the show, and we'll tell you all about the referees. They have a new role with us. They'll be the analysts. I'll tell you what we mean in a minute.
Welcome back to the Baltimore Arena. Christy and Leaf. You know, Leaf, last year during the regular season, we kind of did some very interesting things with our referees, and I mean that in the nicest sort of way.
Well, you're right, we did. We included them in the mix of the show. We had sound bites from them that really told us what was going on in some of those rough areas when the players got a little violent or the penalties were happening, helped explain the game. Well, this year we're taking it a step farther. We're going to call them almost analysts and put them into the game even more. Here's a sneak preview of what I mean.
2 minutes unnecessary roughness on Kronberg. 11 slash right up here. 11 right there. That's it. You're both going nothing. You're both going. Coach, you got bullshit, and that is a misconduct right here, right now. Give me a captain. No goal. Guys from behind must shoot from in front. No goal. Red ball.
Well, you know, Leif, that should provide some great insight into the game.
And we thank both teams for taking time to set that up for us to give our fans a little sneak preview.
As we go to break, let's take another look at one of our strategy and rules features.
Lacrosse the board, the inside strategy to indoor lacrosse. Perhaps one of the most impressive aspects of the game is the stick work by the players. This is Gary Gate of the Wings. Take a look at our Thacometer as he drives goalie Sal Licasio crazy. Here's what it looks like in real time. Impossible to stop. This shot is known as the backbreaker. It's more for show than it is for scoring, but it's still an impressive athletic move. The behind-the-back pass or shot is dangerous too. Quite often, a defender thinks he has you covered when he's next to or in front of the shooter. This is deceiving because a shooter still has the lane behind him. Nice shooting by Tommy Maricek. Finally, the windmill. This too is more for decoration than a necessity, but it's still pretty to watch. Look at the one-handed stick work. That takes enormous strength and coordination.
Miller comes in, big save by Licasio. Shot out top. Licasio gobbles it up. Licasio is making a big save against Finneran. How many times, you folks at home, how many times have we seen him hit Licasio right in the chest? Licasio with a great save. He is playing an all-pro caliber game. Great save by Sal. And a big save by Licasio.
We're back at the Baltimore Arena with our scrimmage with the Thunder and the Wings. Leif, can you tell me who Lou Gehrig's backup was?
No.
How about Cal Ripken?
Yeah, both those guys played so much, you don't know who was behind them.
Well, that's kind of like the backup goalie for the New York Saints. He's got to feel that way because starting goalie Sal Licasio is so awesome. In fact, he's the workhorse behind the New York Saints. They've pretty much built their team around him. He leads the league in shots faced and in goals saved.
Well, Christy, unfortunately, he felt a little bit like a cork in the Hoover Dam. Now, what I mean by that is, if you pulled him out of the game, the other team flooded the net with goals.
Who do you think the best goalie in this league would be?
Well, everyone says Dallas Elliott. I'm a big Sal Licasio fan. 2 years ago, he had like 68 saves and shut us out in a half, which I've never seen before in indoor.
He's very quick for a big guy. He's very quick at saving shots, whether it's corners or low shots, whatever.
When Sal Licasio's on, he's tough.
He really brings an element of stability to the New York Saints. When he plays well, we play well. When he doesn't play well, we normally don't play well. So he is a huge aspect of the success for the New York Saints.
Okay, so we know how good Sal Licasio is, but how about the rookies on this New York team? Well, one of the youngest stars at this year's World Lacrosse Championships in England was Charlie Lockwood from Syracuse. But his fame on the Syracuse campus as an outstanding athlete did not come totally from lacrosse. Believe it or not, Lockwood was a walk-on player on the outstanding Orangemen basketball team.
Lockwood. Oh! The walk-on gets it done.
I had always lived in the area and I'd always seen the great players like Pearl Washington and Derek Coleman and Billy Owens come up through the system. And it always been a dream of mine to, wonder what it would be like going out on the floor and being in front of 30,000 people. And my senior year, there was a real good opportunity because of the lack of players at Syracuse. It's a lot like basketball, the Indoor Lacrosse League, and it's a game that I think I'm more accustomed to, even more than that of field lacrosse, because of the fast breaks and the picks and rolls. And I really like the game a lot, and I played up in Canada for 3 years, so I'm a little bit more used to it than some of the other rookies coming into the league.
The Saints' reputation over the years has been a strong defense, anchored by Licasio, of course. But with the lack of scoring punch, it didn't help matters much when they lost two key offensive players. First, Mark Millen goes to the Thunder, and then they lose their number 2 goal scorer, Mike Cummings. So, with 2 big losses, the Saints had to make sure they plugged those holes. The biggest plug has to be Andy the Tower of Power Towers. And as a rookie, Towers was labeled with so much potential that he had a hard time living up to it. He never really got full opportunity to blossom. Now, whether it was from nagging injuries or punctuality last year, it was a difficult transition for him into the MILL. The Saints are hoping this year will be Towers' year to fly.
It's new blood, it's new veteran blood, which is great because everybody wants to forget last year and everybody has the goal in mind of making it to the championship games, winning the whole thing, and having new veteran blood helps that a lot.
Very few people in the league are as good on the draw as Andy Krause. Andy is a 4-year veteran from the University of Virginia, a face-off specialist who wants to improve his offensive numbers. Even though he led the team in goals and face-offs, and he was second in points with 16, which isn't a lot considering Paul Gate had 19 in just 2 playoff games.
It takes a tremendous willpower to really want to win every one of the face-offs that you go into. You know, I sort of view the face-off as a wrestling match within a team concept of a game, in the sense that here are 2 guys pitted against each other, fighting for the ball, doing basically anything they can do to try and win it. Watching a face-off, not many people realize what's going on and the different strategies that are going on, but you definitely have to have that individual sort of mindset as far as I'm better than the other guy, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, and be willing to accept that you're going to lose some along the way.
Big hits and punishing defense would best describe Steve Kisslinger. Kiss, a 3-year veteran from Towson State, distributed some of the best hits of the season last year. His physical play makes him an undesirable opponent when it comes down to going for loose balls. The Saints hope that he'll cut down on some of his team-leading penalties and increase his goals. One guy who does know how to shoot is powerful one-on-one player, a veteran from Johns Hopkins, Matt Panetta. If there is one player who doesn't mind the spotlight on this team, it's Miko Red Arrow. Miko's production fell last year, but he always seems to shine during the Saints' television games. Last season, the Saints weaseled into the playoffs with a 2-6 record. Under this year's new playoff format, the Saints would not have made the playoffs last season. So will they be the Saints or the Aints, as in ain't in the playoffs this year? All right, Christy, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think? Can the Saints make the playoffs?
Well, Leaf, as we've seen in a lot of our team previews, you know, there's a lot of parity in the league this year. But I think if the Saints gel together early, I think they're going to get a few wins.
Well, one guy who's going to get all-pro look this year again is Sal Nicasio. You know they're going to be counting on the guy to make the big stops, and he can do that well. But maybe the outlet pass is one of the things he does best in the goal. Let's take a look at Sal Nicasio and the outlet pass. Check it out.
Across the board, the inside strategy to indoor lacrosse. The goalie outlet pass could be one of the most dangerous offensive weapons. It is lacrosse's answer to the fast break. This is Sal Nicasio, one of the best passing goalies in the league. After he saves the ball, the first step in fast break passing is recognition. Similar to a quarterback looking for a receiver in football, he can see that the 3 Thunder defenders are trailing the play by as much as 25 feet. This is exactly what he's looking for, and he delivers the ball right in stride to Gordon Purdy, who finds rope. Here's another example of an outlet pass by the goalie. Bill Gary of the Bandits runs all the way upfield with the ball. This is dangerous because he leaves his net completely unguarded. As soon as the defense can, he'll release, forcing Gary to get rid of the ball. Oh yeah, when attempting the long pass, be aware of one thing, the scoreboard. You better make sure you don't hit it.
Last year was a dream season for the Philadelphia Wings. They won the Major Indoor Lacrosse League Championship, but to make it even tougher, they beat the 2-time defending champ Buffalo Bandits at the Bandits' home field, the Odd in Buffalo.
Yeah, but Christy, if that was the dream season, the nightmare began in the offseason because that's when Philly lost their #1 scorer, Paul Gate. He goes to the Rochester Nighthawks. And I'll tell you what, that leaves Gary Gate as the solo act.
Well, Leaf, can you imagine if Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman were split up? Or what about Magic Johnson and Kareem in their heyday? What would it do to your franchise? For the first time in their illustrious Mill playing careers, Gary and Paul will be wearing different uniforms. So the question is, how will the Wings make up the 43 goals that Paul takes with him to Rochester?
We're taking the approach that we're going to ask everybody to sort of step up a little bit and sort of spread those goals around rather than ask one person to assume that kind of role. We're hoping a few guys step up and fill the void.
I think that, granted, Paul will be a loss, but I think that we still have the same team that we've had. We haven't lost that. We've lost a few guys besides Paul. Paul was an impact scorer for us, but in the same sense, we've got Gary. We haven't lost them both. I think Gary will step up and shine, as well as provide an opportunity for the other guys on the team to really make up for his scoring potential. So I think that we'll be fine. We'll continue to cruise on the way that we've been.
It was the right thing for him to do. He's got a wife he's got to look after and spend some time with. As a teammate, it was a difficult thing to hear coming from him because, you don't want your best player leaving your team, and especially a guy that's going to help me play to my best potential. So it was a tough loss, but, it was the right decision for him.
The biggest problem for teams facing the Gates have been how to physically match up with the 6'2", 205 pounds of Paul or Gary. Well, who better to match up with a Gate than an identical twin? If the situation were to come up in a game, you had to check him or hit him or something, what would it be like?
It'd be fun, That's how we grew up, We always had this level of competition that helped develop our skills. If we didn't have that competition, we wouldn't be further ahead than a lot of people.
So you like to beat up your brother, say it.
Yes, we like to go out there, bang heads, but we go out there, bang heads, then once we're off the field, it's fine.
The offensive slack should be picked up by last year's Rookie of the Year, Tom Hollywood Marichek. Marichek, along with the Gates, have known each other since their days growing up playing box lacrosse in Victoria, Canada. Now, with a year under his belt, perhaps Hollywood and Gary Gate will duplicate their offensive explosion that they put together while winning the 1990 NCAA Lacrosse Championship with Syracuse.
Gary and myself did play together this summer also, and hopefully we've been talking about doing different things this year, and hopefully we can bring a couple good games in and play consistent together.
Without a doubt, the loss of Paul Gate is big. For a while, it looked as if first-team All-Pro goalie Dallas Elliott was going to hang up his pads. His goal was to win the championship. And when the Wings won last year, it looked as if Dallas was going to fly away. What brought you back?
The hunger. After winning that big game in Buffalo, I'd like to experience that feeling again.
While the Gates provide the flash and focus of the opposing teams, it was the unsung heroes of the Wings that was a big reason they won the North American Cup. Players like Paul Denikin, who kept the Wings alive in the first half of last year's championship game. He scored 7 goals in the 2 playoff games last year, plus 11 more in the regular season. Kevin Finneran seemed to come alive in the playoffs as well. His 12 playoff assists were almost twice as many as anybody else. When the rock is rolling, somebody has to pick it up. And for the Wings, veterans Scott Gabrielson and Chris Flynn are the bangers in the corners, roughing it up with the big boys. Some say they are possessed with possession.
We go out with reckless abandon and try to pick up that ball when it's on the ground. And that's where you see the majority of the collisions and the guys that will go and do anything they need to do to pick up a ground ball and to give our team possession.
There's so much talk about the fans in Buffalo, but the Wings fans are just as loud and loyal. In fact, they set the standard. Fans from Philly have been filling the seats since back in '87 when the mill first started.
Philadelphia fans are getting to know the game. They're quite knowledgeable now. They know what a good goal is, what a good save is, bad call. They're great fans. I think they're the best fans that any professional sport has to offer.
You know, Leaf, many of the players are publicly saying that they can make up for the loss of Paul Gate. Can they do it?
Well, it'll be tough. On the bad side, you've got to make up 43 goals. On the good side, as a coach, these players that have been feeding him the ball for 2 years now get a chance to go to the cooker, and they've got a lot of talent that can do just that.
You know, one thing that the Wings are really hoping for, though, is that home field advantage during the playoffs, because winning another championship on the road, especially in Buffalo, is pretty much next to impossible.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're familiar with the mill, you know that the highest attendance, the highest average attendance, that team gets home field advantage.
Right.
Well, Philadelphia certainly can do it. All their games are Friday and Saturday nights, and they get big crowds on those nights. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at our whole 1995 mill schedule. right, the scrimmage has just ended. These two teams are getting ready to go into the 95 season, and so are Christy and I. Christy, who do you think? Who's going to win this thing in this year?
Holly, if you put me on the spot again, but I'm going to have to go with the Buffalo Bandits. I know I said that last year, but with all the changes that have happened in the league over the offseason, I really feel the Bandits are still together as a team, and I really think they can do it again.
I think this is the year of parity. I don't think the Bandits will be there. Philadelphia has to be beaten. They are the defending champions, but look at Rochester. They're an unknown quantity with a great star. Baltimore's totally retooled, and New York has great rookies. It should be a great year.
Look at Baltimore. They beat Philadelphia 14-11 today. As we leave you tonight, though, we're going to check out some scenes from last year's championship game.
Off to Glenn Lay.